Hey guys, it's been a while since I made an ROR video, mainly due to finals week coming up and finishing up some last minute debate things on the side. Anyways, I'll be announcing a Discord server later on for this channel, but I have a couple announcements to do before I get into the topic for today's video. I'm currently on Bakido and I'm finishing Death Note, and I'm currently caught up with JJK. But basically, I want you guys to expect some what ifs or just videos on those three animes and mangas in the future, with special guests correspondingly for each video. But anyways, let's get back to the video. So how exactly do we tackle this topic with some speculation and some reasoning behind it? Well, there are a few things we need to keep in mind and answer for this situation. Who would he fight? When would he fight? And how would the fight go? But before I answer those questions, I'll be explaining some things beforehand that have to do with this fight. First off, what happens with Bishamon and the 7 lucky gods of fortune, Zero and Hajun? Well, for when they would fight, it is up in the air, but most likely would be from around round 7 to 8, since they were revealed and immediately fought after. And I deem them as mid-tier god outside of Zero, so they would most likely fight in the mid-tier rounds, where the value of them winning or losing isn't as important as their mightier gods. Would a June still happen? The answer is yes and possibly no. I originally thought Buddha triggered Zero to turn into Hajun, but as seen here, it looks more like he was just damaged or lost enough control for Hajun to just be able to pounce on this weakened Zero and be able to control his body. But I see it happening either in 3 different ways. Either Zero gets knocked out or near death and causes Hajun to spawn in, Zero gets killed before that could happen, or 3, Zero just wins this fight in general, which is also likely if he fights a mid-tier human. Now, I'll leave that up to you guys with those 3 possibilities, but the next up is Hades and his appearance. Whether he fights is up in the air, but he would still show up because he showed up originally because Poseidon died, and well, that's not changing in this what if. So one thing I need to answer last second is Buddha and Loki's conversation or confrontation. I'm just gonna say in this scenario this doesn't happen because Buddha would be on his good boy behavior and wouldn't be deemed as a traitor or have any assets to potentially be a traitor, as Loki said. Okay, I've been switching through mics this entire recording, so my voice will be fluctuating and I apologize, but now we can finally get into what would happen, which is when will he fight? Well, the answer might be obvious and it might not at the same time. After the humans pushed the chief god, being Shiva, to near death and being deemed impressive by Zeus, he went out to look for Buddha to fight in round 6. Buddha was originally meant to go much later than round 6, so you either had Buddha fighting around round 6 or fighting in the 10 to 13 rounds, being a much later round and combatant. He was searching for Buddha for a while, so if Buddha just wasn't found, he would fight in his normal placement, but for this scenario I'll use both potential placements, with round 6 to round 11 as his potential placements. You'll see why later on when I talk about who he would be fighting next. Now, who would Buddha fight? That is a tough question to answer because of how good a matchup Buddha is against basically anybody in the verse that's remaining on humanity's side, but I'll just go over who I don't think would be a good matchup. I don't see Simo fighting Buddha since I think Simo has a better match suited against another god being Apollo. I don't see Leonidas being sent here either since he's basically interpreted as a final boss for humanity. I don't see Kentoki either since I see him with the better matchup in Beelzebub. Rasputin and Tesla, although I do see the potential of them being a good matchup, I see them with even more better matchups against other gods like either Susanoo or Anubis. But they do have better matchups compared to everybody who I listed previously. You may have noticed I have forgotten 3 fighters, and it's because those 3 fighters are the people who I would deem to be a decent matchup in either a story dynamic or just in an actual fight against Buddha and have the potential to at least give the guy an actual fight. And that is being Nostradamus, Quincy Yang, and Okita. Personally, I would pick Nostradamus since he has the best potential at having a counter to Future Vision and is probably depicted as the strongest human left, besides probably King Leonidas and Quincy Yang. Only problem is he was stated to be like the Joker of humanity's side and to be fighting much later, but if Buddha was sent out early being, I guess, Zeus's like equivalent to the Joker or something along the lines of that, then I would definitely see Nostradamus being sent out a lot earlier to compete with Buddha and not just send a human to his slaughter. My next choice would be Quinn. As of now, I am on chapter 56 where Hades versus Quinn starts. Before this chapter, I would not have listed Quinn here, but something in the chapter changed my mind. The ability he uses to reflect or throw back Hades' attack could potentially be used against Future Vision. This is the only reason I am really putting him on the list, since I feel he would perform better than the rest. But the last fighter would be Okuta, and this is mainly to set up the scenario if the Loki versus Buddha fight still happen, or like the little exchange. Okuta will be left in an odd position, being forced to fight the god he sided with beforehand. I don't see Okuta putting that much of a fight, but the dynamic itself would be there. Now for the important part, would he win? I believe so. I know people spread the idea that he would give up or let the human win by forfeiting or letting them kill Buddha, but I don't see it happening. Well, maybe the giving up part, but not just him letting himself die. But for the 3 opponents I listed, I see Buddha winning against any of these 3 besides maybe Nostradamus. Coin I don't see winning, but he would put up a good fight. I always said since before he fought that he would lose his fight regardless of who he fought, because I thought he would fight one of the stronger gods, and if he fights Buddha, then the same would apply here. Okuta I just think would get folded, but I just think the dynamic itself would maybe make Buddha like second guess himself and would make Okuta, you know, a little bit more fair in the fight. But anyways, that's all for today's folks. If you guys have something that you guys would change, let me know down in the comments. But until next time, peace.